more like not so free throws. I'll tell you what, I absolutely hate how sexy this music is, because I kind of like it, but I hate the result as I welcome you into the PHNX Sun Devils postgame show, of course coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Download the Circle K app today by joining the Inner Circle. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. If you can tell, I'm losing my voice a little bit here, so we're going to do a nice, probably semi-chiller edition of the PHNX Sun Devil show. Thank you, MC, David, LTC, Philip, everybody who's in the chat. BC was in here earlier as well. Thank you all for being here and dropping a like for a game that did not deserve a like. Maybe at the beginning it did, but it turned out to be a pretty heartbreaking loss for the Arizona State Sun Devils, dropping to 3-8 in Big 12 play, unfortunately creeping closer to a disgusting margin of 500, especially considering where they were after non-con. I'm Eric. I'm solo. Psych. Never solo. You want to know why? Because Captain Redbeard's behind the Mac, making all the magic happen. And Captain Redbeard was locked in today, glued to the TV. And so I do want to know, Kyle, your instant reaction to God, this music is so sexy. To Arizona State dropping 71-70 to the Kansas State Wildcats.
I hate Bobby Ball. I really do. I'm new to ASU basketball this year, and I absolutely hate it. Like you'll go through stretches where this team looks great.
Yep.
Like the offense is firing, and then we have just nail-biting finishes, and we just can't seem to pull it out in the end, and that just seems to be the theme, especially this year that I've watched. I mean, I don't know. It's a roller coaster, just like the thumbnail. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down.
An absolute roller coaster. I think it's the first time we ever played out the entirety of the loss music. I mean, I hate that. I hate hearing it because it means something bad. But man, that music is like almost distracting. Yeah. That was the epitome of Bobby Ball. I had somebody message me and say, hey, what's going on here? Like, how do you blow that lead in the first half? And I had a simple reaction. It was Bobby Ball. And to be fair, and I know it is kind of a cop-out at this point to solely blame Bobby Hurley for these type of things. I know it's the hot topic. I know that Ralph and I did a podcast about this yesterday, 2 podcasts ago, because Ralph and I did a podcast earlier today. But tonight, whatever you want to call it, was the perfect epitome of what we have known to be true about this team, about what makes them click and what makes them falter. And it's the same thing. It's becoming reliant on just individual talent. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, and it's because I am. But this Arizona State team is actually full of some really talented players. And on any given possession, you might see BJ Freeman in the clutch hit you with the post moves and turn the shoulders around, right? You might see Adam Miller hit a couple shots in a row. Alston Mason can get a little physical for a small guy. Maybe JQ. Insane flashes on the defensive end. Boom, boom, let me block that. Let me go for a monster dunk, right? Whenever Josan Sandin hits a shot, it looks good. Whenever Josan Sandin hits a shot. But you start out this game with a level of energy, a level of preparedness, and you're up 15. and you're shutting them out. And then you know what? Basketball happens, right? Basketball happens. It's a game of runs, right? Kansas State was never going to score on pace for 2 points in 5 minutes, right? Like ASU has a good defense, but not that great of a defense. And Saul in the chat says, tough blow. Hate to see a kid miss 2 free throws like that. Genuinely. I am going to get to JQ, and you do have to hit those free throws. And I know I joked about it in the cold open, but to be honest with you, like I'm not going to sit up here and blame JQ for that, even though I think the easiest thing to do would be to look at what happened in the last 4 seconds of the game, and that's Quaintonce's 2 missed free throws at the line. But you were up double-digit points in this game against a team that should be worse than you, a team that should be below you in the Big 12. And granted, they've been on a hot streak as of late. This was their 4th straight win, and it's the Big 12, so anybody can beat anybody. But you're clawing for your life as the Sun Devils right now. We did Factor Cap in the daytime show with Ralph today, and I asked, are ASU's tournament chances still alive? And I think Ralph was actually gone for that part of the segment, but I asked him before the show when we were planning it, and he was like, no. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't think that I see them making the tournament either. But the only way that they could would be to not only beat a team like Kansas State, but to do it pretty consistently. And G.A. Ruiz in the chat says, every game we have long, dry spells. Too long. Now, why is that? Let's unpack that, right? Why do the Arizona State Sun Devils have such long stretches without scoring, despite having individual talent like Alston Mason, who had 20 points tonight on 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 6 of 6 from the line, 6 assists. I mean, a 20-6 game in college is nothing to sneeze at. Oh, what about Bashir Jihad, who can get to the line with ease? 7 free throws tonight, hitting 6 of them and scoring 15 points. BJ Freeman is a 3-level scorer. He can score in the paint. He can shoot the midi. He could take threes. He was 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 8 from deep tonight. Also had 7 rebounds and 5 assists. Quaintance, maybe offensively, not that great, and I get it. But he does have the ability to be a finisher in the paint. Tonight just wasn't his night. 1 of 7. Adam Miller, he could score 10 points, 2 of 4 from 3. He's one of your more consistent shooters. That's just your starting lineup. Then you have Josan Sandin coming off of the bench, a 5-star, supposedly bucket getter on any means possible. And he's coming into tonight. He only has 5 points. So you ask yourself, Kyle, Captain Redbeard, why is it that a team where I just went through almost every single player that played tonight and told you that all but really one of them has a consistent offensive skill, consistent offensive talent, and the one that doesn't is hyper athletic? How does a team like that go through the dry spells that ASU went through?
I mean, we talked about it a little bit during the game, but Josan Sandin has been not great since he got injured. I mean, what did he shoot? He shot 2 of 11 from the field. Like you can't, you're not going to beat teams in this conference with a player that's, has such a reputation as he does, and shoot 2 of 11. We need better than that, because these are going to be close games, and you got to make clutch shots.
Yeah, and I do, looking at Sandin for sure, I'm going to be honest with you, Captain, we're off. Our chemistry is off, right? Because you want to know where I thought you were going to go, and I think you make a great point. But it's the coaching. It's the coaching. What happens when you can't get the most out of talent? What happens if you're not organized? What happens if there is a theme, game in and game out? We're hot, we're hot, we're hot, we're hot. We're hitting threes, we're taking threes. You want to know what happened when they were up 15-0? When they went up in the game, they were hitting threes. They started 3 of 6 from 3. Then they went 0 of 9. Then they hit 2 in a row. Every single time they had a lead or they fought back and clawed back to get close to having a lead after blowing a lead, it was because they were just hitting threes. And guess what? That's not this team's identity. Do you want to know why? Because this team doesn't have an identity. They haven't had an identity all season. Go back to Idaho State, man. I'm pretty sure I was wearing the same freaking hoodie, saying the same thing. Man, I love some of the things that Bobby does for this program, right? The talent that he brings in the door, the passion that he has for ASU, and the hate that he has for U of A. I love those things. Remember when I said I wasn't going to yell, Kyle? This is what ASU hoops have done to me.
I thought it was going to be a chill show.
It was, and then I started talking about this. I thought I was, I thought I was going to be done going into this season talking about Bobby like this, right? Because I really don't want to. I really don't want to talk to Bobby about this. Like this. I want him to succeed. I really, really want him to be the coach here with actual success in the tournament. Sean Phillips Jr. was out tonight, as was Bobby Hurley Jr., as Williams pointing out in the chat. But when you see a pattern, not just with this roster, right, but with every roster that this coach has had, especially over the last 4 to 5 years, and you see the same problem play in and out, and that problem in itself become a microcosm of this game. This game, ASU ended the game 7 of 8 from the field for the last 8 field goals, stormed back. If they were down the whole game, we'd be talking about resilience, but they weren't. They were up, and then they blew a lead. They looked disinterested. They looked disorganized, right? They didn't look like they were, quote unquote, fighting for each other, fighting for the team when it got hard. But when they were hitting shots, when they were hitting threes, when they got their mojo going a little bit, oh, then we're clicking. Okay, maybe we're clicking a little too much. Adam Miller, bye-bye. And you can argue whether or not he deserved to get ejected when you're coming off of the game like you had against Arizona, where BJ Freeman could have not played tonight based on how some people would interpret rules and if you would suspend him or not. You're going to be on a really short leash, an incredibly short leash, especially when your coach is Bobby Hurley. And you can deal with the antics. You can deal with the yelling. You can deal with the hyperbole and the passion, right? The unbridled passion that sometimes gets in the way. You can deal with all of that when you win or when your team looks good. Hell, dude, you're playing in the Big 12, okay? It's your first year in the Big 12. If at the end of the day, you had an okay season in your first year of the Big 12, but the process looked right. You know, John says it in the chat, short bench and fatigue. Those two meshed, talking about also hurting this team along with coaching. If the process looked better, if the team looked more cohesive, if I saw it and I was like, you know what? Like William said, this team isn't fixing bad trends. But if I could look back at the season and tell you where Arizona State has grown, if I could tell you by looking back the problems that they solved, either on an individual player basis or on a team functioning basis, if I could tell you any of that, then you can point to coaching, you can point to process, right? Or if you say, you know what, Josan Sandin's playing great, Quaintance is playing great, BJ Freeman's getting buckets, Alston Mason's doing good, but man, they're just so tired. There's just no depth. Alston Mason has to play 40 minutes a game. You know, it's injuries. Injuries derailed the team. And sure, injuries have played a factor. But maybe if you go back in this season, you say, you know what? 500 overall record, bad Big 12 record, but, you know, ish happens. Injuries happen. You know, playing really good teams happen. And to be fair, they are playing really good teams, the Big 12. That's part of the problem. You can't get away with this type of stuff anymore. You're going to get put out for everybody to see. You show up ill-prepared for a game, whether it's your first conference game or whether it's now your 11th conference game, and you have any lapse of judgment, you have any lapse of effort, right? Any lapse of game plan, the other team's going to take advantage because other teams aren't really poorly coached in this league, in this conference. Teams aren't bad in this conference. Teams don't have those types of lapses in this conference, and if they do, they don't survive. Not on an individual game basis, and not on a season-long basis. But we'll survive together. Because guess what? We're all used to this. We appreciate everybody's in the chat. Connor, William, John. Thanks to everybody who's in here talking all about your Sun Devils. Joey, Paulo, BC, Steve, LTC. Thank you all so much. Haley in here as well, but I don't appreciate Haley, says ASU. Our chokers. I mean, not wrong. We'll talk more about free throws. We're going to give out bottle service, get to buy the numbers, more thoughts from Captain Redbeard, a fantastic way to ask about aftertaste, and all of that coming up after our first break. Sanderson Ford, We are absolutely proud to have Sanderson Ford as our official vehicle partner, and you can drive into this new year with a new you, which means a new vehicle. You take the whole family out in style and save 11 grand off a new Expedition, hit the trails, or make your own in a new Bronco Badlands. Sanderson has 28 of those to choose from with discounts of up to $10,000 off. Purchase a new Edge for only $35,995, and Sanderson also took in hundreds of quality trade-ins during their year-end sale and have 25 pre-owned vehicles with a warranty under 25 grand. For the best deals in 2025, choose Sanderson Ford for a no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense experience, and get more for your trade-in with easy on-the-spot financing. Drive into the new year in a new Ford from Arizona's most awarded Ford dealership. That's Sanderson Ford. And if maybe you don't want to just go for the fantastic customer service, them actually caring about you, go for the Starliner Diner, go for the museum, go for all the different things they have on this absolute complex of a facility over at Sanderson Ford. And if you notice, I'm looking good today. It's because I'm wearing my branded Bills hats. Let me do a little spin for the chat. You like what you see? I know you do, because that's the PHNX exclusive partnership with branded bills that you can get your hands on by going to the PHNX locker right now. And of course, you can also elevate your personal brand with branded bills, whether it's Arizona State University merchandise, Suns merchandise, or you have your own merchandise, fantasy football league, small business, whatever it is. Maybe you like to just do things on the side. You like to make art and you have a nice logo for the art shop that you have that you sell on social media. Well, guess what? You can get branded things with branded bills. And what are those things, Eric? Snapback, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees. They have you covered with performance or style in their local company out of Mesa, Arizona. And if I haven't mentioned the best part yet, they look good, they feel good, and you can get 20% off. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Now, things would be very different if we were talking about this and Jaden Quayton's went 2 of 2 from the free throw line, or 1 of 2 from the free throw line. But I didn't want to start with that because I'm not going to get on the 17-year-old player who is shooting 50% from the free throw line and is not an offensive talent right now. And I'm not going to dig into him. I'm not going to do it. He's got to hit those free throws. He needs to get better. He needs to work on it. But I'm not going to dig into him, Kyle, because if I'm going to point at anything, I'm going to point to the whole team tonight. I'm not just pointing at 2 missed free throws on the end when you should have been in a position to win this game either way. Right, Captain?
Yeah. I mean, I was going to bring up, ASU went up 15-0 in the first quarter, or in the first half. And Kevin and I told you that, and you didn't even believe it. That was such a crazy thing. We're up 15-0 on Kansas State. But, if you go up by that much and you finish the half down, like, something is clearly wrong with your basketball team. And I know you didn't want to talk about it, but it has to be coaching. Like, the consistency needs to be there with this team. And it seems like they lack consistency every time they play. Mm-hmm. That's just from what I've seen this year. It seems every time they play, they'll come out, like I said, look really hot, really good, have some good runs, and they'll keep it close. But, I mean, if you go up 15-0, you should at the very least be ending the half with the lead, right? Like, that's a big lead. You look like you were dominating the first 10 minutes of the game. And then it just went all downhill from there, it seemed like. And then they slowly started to get it going in the second half, but that took a while too. So this team needs to play consistently for 40 minutes. And, a lot of teams in basketball struggle with that. And we've talked, like me and Tochi have talked many times, maybe it's just a lack of players on the bench. People are getting too many minutes. Also, Mason's playing the whole game, it seems like, every week.
Yeah, pretty much.
A lot of issues here. But, yeah, I think, if you go up by that much, you should be maintaining the lead, and not letting them go on these huge runs and then just going non-existent. It just can't happen.
It can't. It's unacceptable. And I would say I get it because I understand it, not because I like it and not because I think it's acceptable. And you know what? You're talking about numbers. We're talking about points. William dropping numbers in the chat. It says JQ shooting 48.5% from the free throw line. And ASU only had 4 points in the paint for the entire first half. It's time to get to By the Numbers, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Of course, the only number that matters is that final score, 71-70. Kansas State losing to Arizona State. Leading scorer, Alsa Mason, leads ASU with 20. As far as field goals go, ASU 22 of 57 from the field, 39%. Kansas State 27 of 58 from the field for 47%. Three-point percentage, 12 of 37 for 32% for ASU. As far as Kansas State, 10 of 6, 26 from the field and 38%. And points in the paint, 16 points in the paint for ASU, 30 points in the paint for Kansas State. It's very easy to see. The points in the paint and the three-pointers. That's how ASU loses this game. Because what happens when you go on a cold streak, right? What do you need to do? Keep chucking up from three when you've gone cold? No. Now, granted, you hit a couple threes, and that's much needed in this situation. You absolutely want to hit threes and need to hit threes to come back from a deficit. But why are you in a deficit in the first place? Because you were not going to the paint, not coaching your players up, not putting them in a position to get an easy bucket when the going gets tough, a pick and roll to get Jaden Quaintance driving to the hoop. Why are you not setting up these things? Why is your team also not embodying a little bit more self-control after the U of A game, right? And understanding that when things get really hard, you have a couple different chances to respond and a couple different ways to respond. One of those being to keep your head on straight, use it as internal motivation, use it as a way to, channel that energy in a more focused way. Some people thrive off doing that. Other people thrive on turning it into unbridled anger, right? This ferocity, seeing red type state that you go into. And that's good for boxers, UFC fighters, edge rushers, right? People who need to get physical and need to hype themselves up. Big centers in the post, right? Maybe JQ needs that type of thing. So there's that. That still has to be channeled onto the court into a correct way. And then there's the third option, which is you let it get to your head. You let it affect your defense. You let it affect the shots that you take. You start overthinking on everything. You start hearing all the trash that all the other teams and all the other players are talking, and then that lights you up even more. And then once you get lit up even more, you're so far down this path that we're now at multiple games with suspensions and technicals in a row. And it's not good. Listen, it's not good to go into every single game and not wonder if, but when your head coach is going to get a tech assessed to him, right? It's not good. And I look at those numbers. I look at by the numbers. I look at the points in the paint. I look at the three-pointers. And I say to myself, are those things that can be coached? Some of it, yeah, right? You can't force a player to drive to the paint and score, right? They are the ones who have to decide to do so. But are you putting them in the best position to do so? See, these things go hand in hand, and in college specifically, relying only on individual talent is not going to get you by unless you have a roster like some of the best rosters of all time. And I really like some of the individual talent on this ASU team. I think a lot of players have actually played to a level that you expected them to, at least for the situation that they've been put in as far as transfers. But they're not that type of roster. In this conference, this is not the type of roster that can just roll the ball out, right? But it is certainly the type of roster that you can win. This team, absolutely. And I get it, the short rotation is tough. And that maybe throws a wrench into all of this. But at the end of the day, the problem's not just fatigue, so I'm not just going to use that as an excuse. But this is absolutely a team that I'm not going to say could be leading in the Big 12 right now, but a team that could certainly be in a better spot. A team that's way better than 3-8. This team should be about 500 in conference, if not slightly over 500. With the talent that they have 2 5-stars, these transfers that were scoring insane amount of points per game. Bashir Jihad, I think, was like 18 points per game. BJ Freeman was in the 20s in points per game. Alston Mason, I think, was like 18 and 10. Like, these are players that obviously are taking a step up in competition, but they're joining each other, along with 5 stars, a 17-year-old who's one of the best defenders in college basketball, right? And because your identity is built around defense, what I'm saying you need to do as far as offensive identity, as far as knowing when to stop taking threes, when to drive to the paint, when to have a pick and roll, when to actually utilize your talent in a certain way. Bashir Jihad, great at drawing free throws. Is he drawing free throws at timely moments? Or is he taking shots that he shouldn't be taking? I said this on yesterday's show. I said this on the post-game show. You can tell when a player on this roster is about to take an ill-advised shot. End of the game. Josan Sannon. You could see from a mile away. And is that Josan Sannon's fault? Sure. Freshman, score happy, trigger happy shooting, not in a great rhythm, finally hit a 3 before that. Maybe he shouldn't have taken the shot. You can get on him, for sure. Same way that you can get on Jaden Quains for missing free throws. These are mistakes and things that are correctable and are fixable, and it's on both the players and the coaches to do so. But that possession by Josan Sannon was not an anomaly. Not for Josan Sannon, not for Adam Miller, not for BJ Freeman, not for Bashir Jihad, not for Jaden Quains. Hell, it's not even always an ill-advised shot attempt. How do you get to that shot attempt? How has somebody not sat Jaden Quains down and told him to stop dribbling? Seriously. Jaden Quains is my favorite player to watch in this team. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think Jaden Quains could be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. If he can hit free throws and develop slightly more of an offensive game, you might be looking at a massive problem in the league. His defensive instincts, his rebounding, his intangibles that he brings to this team at 17 years old are irreplaceable, and it will be heartbreaking to lose him to another school next year, which unfortunately, with the direction that this team is playing, this team is going right now, I don't know if he would want to come back. How has nobody sat him down and told him to stop dribbling? Not stop dribbling in practice, not stop working on your handle. Same thing with threes. I don't want Jaden Quains to stop taking threes in practice. I don't want Jaden Quains to stop taking threes when he's shooting around. I don't want Jaden Quains to completely stop taking threes entirely. I need him to take like 1 every 5 games. Just to test the waters. Just to see. Just a little bit.
You know what I saw when I was watching the game? I think it was in the first half. He literally took a, no rhythm 3 2 times in a row from the same spot, brick, both times. And, it's, I don't know, he's 17, so it's a young player. He's going to learn, how to develop his game and, not take low-quality shots. Yeah.
Honestly, not blaming the 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Listen, I play basketball, and I take shots I shouldn't take, okay? I'm not saying I'm Jaden Quains, because I'm not. But what I'm saying is, if I was playing on a team and I kept doing that, and my coach never pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Ruby, what the hell are you doing? Stop taking these dumbass shots that you can't hit," then he's not doing his job. And if Bobby is doing that, if the coaching staff is doing that, and Jaden Quains still taking those shots, then everything I just said doesn't matter. It's on Jaden Quains. But you can't live with that. You can't have him take 3 threes, especially when he's 1 of 7 from the field overall. Brother, you can't hit your layups right now. Why are you shooting threes? Why are you dribbling from outside the paint? Why are you dribbling at all? And when you do, you dribble, and the easiest thing to spot a million miles away. This is how you coach to an exploitable weakness. You see instantly the opposing team doubles. Instantly somebody is sent to his blind side. Without fail. And most of the time, it either turns into a turnover or a not so great pass. And I don't put that on Jaden Quains. I don't put that on Jaden Quains. John says one key word there is developing. That's what coaching isn't doing. They aren't developing. Josan Sannon has regressed. Let me say that again. Josan Sannon has regressed. He is a 5-star freshman 11 games into Big 12 play. And he has not gotten better. Is that on Josan Sannon? A little bit. It's on his decision making. Yeah. See, an 18-year-old 5-star prospect who's coming off the bench. You think somebody's pulling him aside and telling him stop taking stupid shots? I hope so. Really do. But when it's not just Sannon, but it's these vets, these transfers, somebody in Adam Miller who's played over 100 games of college basketball. They're doing it too. So why am I to believe that somebody's telling Josan Sannon not to do that? I really like Bobby Hurley as a person. I have a lot of respect for Bobby Hurley and the passion and the care that he has for this program, the talent that he's been able to get in here. But patience is running thin because I had somebody text me and it kind of hit home. And I'm going to share to you what that was, plus aftertaste, plus bottle service, plus closing time. We are ripping through PHNX Sun Devils postgame show. A lot of you in here right now. Thank you all so much. That like button, though, looking a little unloved. Hit the like for me and Captain Redbeard holding it down without Totri here on a Tuesday evening while Kevin Durant rumors fly around Twitter. Okay? It's a crazy day for me. It's a crazy day for all of us. We're going to keep talking about this game, but we're going to do it after our second break. Oh, man. That game was wild. A roller coaster. One might say, and life is also a roller coaster, and sometimes the anxiety and the stress, it just gets to you. And I'm not telling you this is how you need to deal with your anxiety and stress, but I'm just saying Colt Cannabis is a fantastic way to take your mind off things, to feel good, right? Because it's premium flower at a not so premium price, and now you can find it so much easier. You can find it at all the local True Leaf locations, including a new one that just opened up last month in Maricopa. And they have a True Leaf exclusive strain called Magic Marker. And the Valley's been asking for her. And Captain Redbeard, Magic Marker, is back. Now, Captain Redbeard joined Kevin and I on PHNX Puffs, which is a diehard exclusive show, exclusively sponsored by Colt Cannabis. And we talked about life and movies and everything in the life of Captain Redbeard and interesting stories. That's just type of the stuff that Colt Cannabis loves, and we love them. Get over to TrueLeaf.com to find your local shop, to place an order, and tell them that PHNX sent you. And on your way back, before you indulge, might as well just stop at Circle K, because nothing goes better with a little buzz like Circle K snacks. And also, saving a whole lot of money by joining the Inner Circle today. Now, how can you save money? Well, you can save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. After that, save 3 cents off per gallon every single day. Plus, there are other plenty member-exclusive deals, discounts on drinks, snacks, and everything in between. And I don't know what's in between. A drink snack? A snack drink? Can you eat something you drink? Can you drink something you eat? These are the type of questions that Circle K deals are going to have you asking. And Captain Redbeard was ready to answer it. I kind of want to hear what he had to say. How do you answer? Can you drink a snack? Can you snack a drink?
You can eat or drink anything if you set your mind to it.
Ain't that facts? That's the type of mindset you get in the Inner Circle. You also get a member-exclusive beverage deal, any size Polar Popper Froster for just 79 cents. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Woo! Baby! This is a show, Kyle. This has been, I feel like, cathartic in senses, even though we're saying the same thing over and over again.
We're letting the whole season out. Just the frustrations.
I don't know, man. Listen, I guess crazier things have happened. Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers, but I don't think this team's making the tournament. I really want this team to make a tournament. I really thought with the talent that this team had, you can make a tournament. You're drowning in the Big 12, Bobby. You're drowning in the Big 12. And I don't know if there's a life raft. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what that is, but I don't know if you can get it. JJ in the chat says, I'm so effing depressed. Well, let's try to change it. Let's go to bottle service. I guess. There was some good things about this game. Popping bottles for Alston Mason. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Alston Mason with a great game tonight. Changing the hair up once again. A little headband action there. Just love Alston Mason as a player. Hate the situation that Alston Mason is in. Did not play as many minutes tonight. Guess how many minutes he played, Kyle?
28.
No, he played 37.
Oh.
Not as many as not 38 or 39.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, he played 37 minutes tonight, tied for the lead in the game, along with BJ Freeman as well. Alston Mason is awesome. And I went through and if you're trying to find a positive from this man, like if you want to take away team expectations, like there's some hoopers on this team. There's some fun individual plays to watch. If you don't look at all the plays that sandwich him, like Bashir Giat can have a nice post move every game. Adam Miller can catch fire a little bit. Alston Mason is a nice little shifty guard who can get to the paint, take deep threes, pass the rock a little bit. That's fun. Josiah Sandin hits a shot every once in a while. Williams says Mason was 6 of 6 from the free throw line too. True. Jaden Quains is an incredibly fun watch, and BJ Freeman can score on all 3 levels. JJ says we dropped 1 spot in Ken Palm. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Oh no, man, nothing makes sense with this team. Like JJ says, dude, the metrics are trying to keep us in this. It's unreal. Maybe the Big 12 just really like that. Maybe Ken Palm knows that a loss in the Big 12 by 1 point is actually like a win in another conference. Huh? Ever think about that? Big 12 just so good that even when Arizona State loses, it doesn't really lose. Kind of a spin zone there, right? Sneak into the tournament. No, it's honestly not even just stamping bubble bursts as if they have like no chance to make it right now, because I do think a team in this position has a chance to make the tournament. But what I'm saying is what they would have to do in order to turn what's going on right now into a tournament berth. I do not believe that they would be able to do that. I don't. And I hope, oh my gosh, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm so wrong. I hope I'm wrong about Bobby. I hope I'm wrong about the team's March Madness chances. I hope I'm wrong about the future of the program. I hope. I don't think so. And you know what? I forgot. I know what I teased. And I teased a text message that somebody sent me. Now, let me just preface this by saying every time I talk about any coach at ASU, I seriously try not to compare them to Kenny Dillingham. It's just really hard not to. But it's not even a direct comparison between the two. It's more about the idea of how we handle ourselves as a university in sports. One of the main arguments for not moving on from Bobby Hurley, or one of the main sentiments that I've heard, is who are you getting that's better? Fair question. Bobby can get a lot out of a team in certain moments, can get a team to a tournament, has a couple tournament berths, some good season, NBA player. He's not a terrible head coach. He's not good at in-game X's and O's, but like overall and everything we ask a head coach to do in college basketball, you could do a lot worse than Bobby Hurley. But this was what the text said. Kenny proved to us that we can stop accepting mediocrity as a university for an athletic program. You cannot be afraid of not having a floor, right? Like, can't be like, oh, we can't get rid of Bobby because, like, what if they're worse? For the ASU fans that are saying that, you are saying you do not believe in Graham Rossini. You do not believe in the funding that this athletic department has now turned towards the athletic department. or the appeal of coaching at Arizona State, the appeal of coaching in the Big 12. If you went to anybody and told them, listen, look at where the two programs are right now, football and basketball. Football when the sanctions were down, when Herm left, when all that was going on, right? What's more attractive? ASU basketball right now if Bobby leaves, or ASU football when Herm left? Poll. Put a poll in the chat. I'm being serious. I'm not saying there's a definitive answer, but what I'm saying is, if you do not feel like you can get better than somebody who's going to have you 3-8 in conference play, again, and I think that there's a role for Bobby Hurley in coaching basketball, in college basketball. I think he could be an invaluable asset to a college program. Okay? His words, his name, it means a lot. He's a smart guy. He's a smart player. Defenses are usually pretty good around Bobby. My problem with Bobby is not that he is the worst coach I've ever seen in my entire life. My problem with this coaching staff and with Bobby being the head of that, whether he wants to be or not, and I'm not saying he does, I'm not saying he doesn't, but what I'm saying is when you're the head coach, you get the blame. Win or loss, you get the blame. You have the same problems. I do not want to be sitting here saying this. I have been rooting for and cheering on Bobby Hurley for the entirety of his time here. I have believed in him. Last season, half a season before that, it wasn't that I started to notice the problems, it's that I started to accept the problems. I started to acknowledge that they were not going away. And this year, I could feel it coming. Go back to week 1, game 1, not football. Go back to the Idaho State game. Tell me how I was feeling. Was I right? To be honest with you, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember a lot of people telling me I was overreacting. And I think we've seen quite a bit of things play out in that. And after getting a taste of what that type of success looked like in football with a coach like Kenny Dillingham, that to be honest with you, what's the type of coach that you're probably able to attract if you do indeed decide to move on from Bobby Hurley? What type of coach are you looking for? What type of coach are you going to want to get to ASU? Older coach, maybe a little washed up coach, established, has a name out there, but it definitely isn't in their prime, but is a name. Is a name for NIL, whatever. You can go for a younger guy. Maybe somebody that, people have heard of, but it's like, what, really? Huh? Somebody who sees the value in how to sell Arizona State. Because you want to say you can't get the talent without Bobby? Maybe. Maybe that's really it. Maybe you move on from Bobby and it gets 10 times worse. Maybe. Honestly, possible. Maybe Bobby Hurley is the only thing holding this program together. Anything's possible. I don't think it's the case. But you could get rid of Bobby. You could hire a nice, young, up-and-coming head coach, and then we're sitting here and being like, man, I really wish that we got that hire right. I miss at least being somewhat competitive. I miss having 5 stars. Now our program is bottom of the Big 12 and no recruits, right? Maybe. Is that a risk that you're willing to take? Or are you going to accept the fact that you're never going to reach the heights that you want to reach, the standard that you want to set, the standard that Kenny Dillingham and ASU football set, which is that Arizona State University can be a winning school in athletics? No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's not just football. Golf, triathlon, hockey, you name it. Arizona State University has the makings to be one of the most consistent athletic forces in the Big 12. Point blank, period. They have the facilities for it, and I'm not just talking literally. You have the location. You have a cultural buy-in among all sports. Everybody want to talk about fans and fan support and fair weather fans. Can you blame them? I'll watch every game. And I appreciate everybody that's in here, and we're going to share all this together. We're going to get through the highs and the lows, the highs of football season, the lows of basketball season. We're going to do it together. But this has been a team that has had the same problems for 10 years. And a fan might watch for 7. It's a long time. Might not want to watch after that. You feel like you know what's coming. Are you willing to accept that? Or can you see that with football where you have the same arguments about the same things, about the same fan base, and all it took was winning some damn games? As a university, as a fan base, you have to decide what standard do you want to hold your programs to. I choose Arizona State football. That's just me. I'll leave it at that. Been teasing aftertaste, closing time, all of that. Try to end with a laugh. We are going to put that poll in the chat. The poll being, what would be a less attractive job opening for a potential head coach? ASU football post Herm, ASU basketball post Bobby. Vote in the chat. Leave your comments in the chat. We'll attack that, aftertaste, closing time, and wrap all this up on a double show day on PHNX Sun Devils. If you are looking to buy a home, I need you to write this number down. 480-776-5231. Oh, what's that? That's right. You guessed it. You guessed that is the number to the Carol Royce team, family owned and locally operated through 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes across the Valley, and Carol knows the Arizona real estate market. And unlike ASU basketball, she can guarantee you the result. She can guarantee you an outcome. You're not just making the right choice. You're making the guaranteed one. Love your home or Carol will buy it back. If you're considering buying a home in 2025, the name to trust is Carol Royce, your home sold guaranteed realty. Move up to one of their listings and they'll buy your home for cash. Have questions? Call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. Also love our friends, my personal friends over at Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Arizona's #1 credit union, more importantly, named by the Ruby household. And not just Eric Ruby, Papa Ruby, Mama Ruby, Grandpapa Ruby, Grandmama Ruby. All of the Rubies, all at Desert Financial Credit Union, not only because it is the best place to keep your money with financial solutions that just make life better, but also because they love our devs. It's the best place to keep your money if you are an Arizona State University fan. Of course, you can use one of 3 individually branded Visa debit cards with ASU decals all over it. And the best part, just says a lot about their character. They want to give you $200 for free. Now's the time to show your ASU team spirit. Open a free checking account online. Get $200 plus your choice of 3 Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Go to desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started. Sean, Corey, William, Jackson, John. It sounded like siblings there. I don't know why. Corey, Sean, William, Jackson, John. It rhymed. That's why.
By the way, your poll is at 70% ASU post-Herm is the less attractive job for a coach.
Look how that ended up. I feel like I'm spitting some facts right now. Like I kind of feel like I'm on fire.
You are.
This is what happens when you just don't stop talking for like 2 weeks straight and do like 4 shows a day. The takes just become like transcendent. Like you're not even thinking about them. Like they're just going. We're going to keep eyes on that poll, eyes on the chat. Thanks to everybody in here. I think it's time to have a little fun. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think I might have written, and I don't know, maybe I'm just being really too cocky right now. I might have written the best question leading to aftertaste of all time. Now, if you're new around here, aftertaste is where we compare the game to a taste. Pretty creative name. Captain Redbeard, What was flung into your facial focal point tonight?
Wow, that was a good one.
Thank you. Like, I was writing it. You know, when you write
That's
it, you're
pretty
just
good.
like, you're like, let's go. I like that.
Yeah. What was flown in my facial focal point?
Yes.
Well, when you put it like that, I'd have to say a really, really, really stale chip was flung into my focal point in my face.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because I'm getting pretty tired of this.
Bag of chips been open for a while. You don't like the flavor, but you keep going back and eating one chip and regretting it every time.
Yep, that's
and it
exactly
progressively gets staler.
Yep, you nailed it. That's exactly my experience watching ASU basketball right now.
I like that. Not to continue to toot my own horn, but I got one. What was flung into my facial focal point, Captain Redbeard? Well, I'm glad you asked. Really cheap fast food. You want to know why? Because for like half a second, kind of hits. You're like, this is so bad. It's kind of good. ASU up 15-0. You're like, oh, what do we have here? And then immediately, bam, comes a sucker punch. Stomach ache. Whoa, bad taste left in your mouth. Ugh, greasy feeling. Ugh. And then you're like, you know what? It was cheap. Maybe it was worth it, right? You battle back. You're like, oh, it's okay. I only paid like $4 for it. You know, I might be fighting for my life, but, you know, it is what it is. And then right at the end, massive stomach ache. You're running to the bathroom and you're sitting on the toilet and you're thinking to yourself, after a close call, that wasn't worth it. That just was not worth it.
You nailed it. Yeah, that one was really good.
I feel
like
I feel like we should just start the 24-hour stream right now. Like I feel like
might as well.
Megan in the chat just all caps diarrhea. John says spoiled milk. Cactus just says Bobby has to go. It's over. William says cue up Seismosonic already. Jeez, semisonic guys. I am like. I think I'm barely lucid right now.
He's transcending.
I am transcending. I in my head, Semisonics. Semisonics been playing in my head for like 3 days straight at this point. But you know what? We're powering through. Let's do some final thoughts about this game. Kansas State, to be fair to Kansas State, has been on a tear as of late. That's 4 straight wins for them, which is extremely impressive considering how they started conference play. They're 5-6 in conference, and one of those wins over Iowa State. This team just beat Iowa State and West Virginia. Oklahoma in the middle, and they blew them out. And they just beat Arizona State by 1. So here's what you think. You think to yourself, good loss for ASU, right? I mean, JJ in the chat, Ken Palm dropped in 1 spot. Why? Because in their last 4 games, they've beaten the number 23 and number 3 team in the country. Blew out an Oklahoma State team that's at the bottom of the Big 12, sending them to 3-8 in conference. Or I think at that point, maybe 3-7. And then beating Arizona State, but by 1 point. But they came back and they won. Maybe it's just a fatigue thing. Maybe we're overreacting to Bobby. Maybe. But is it just this season? Cactus Johnny says ASU lost this game. K-State didn't beat us. I agree. 100% agree. It's a bad thing, of course. Can you spin zone it? Can Senior Spin Zone come out? I think so. Now, let me preface this by saying I don't believe what I'm about to say. Just so we're all on the same page. Don't believe what I'm about to say. Arizona State was at least in a position to blow the game. They were up 15 on Kansas State. They battled back against a team that beat the number 3 team in the country, that beat the number 23 team in the country, that's about 500 in the toughest conference to play college basketball in. I don't believe what I just said. I mean, you could. Is that what some ASU basketball fans are doing. I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't talked to a single ASU basketball fan who is satisfied with what's going on right now. Not a single one. Nobody is enjoying this. And it sucks because there is a very enjoyable roster right now. MC says, change the poll. We had Coach Kenny Dillingham on the horizon. We did not have that for Hoops. MC, what I'm saying is, in a worse situation than what Hoops was going to be left in if Bobby leaves, in a worse situation, ASU ended up with Kenny Dillingham. So what I'm saying is, not that ASU basketball will get there, Kenny Dillingham, but the argument that you should be afraid to test the waters on who you're bringing in because you don't think that you can do better than 3-8 in the Big 12 and about a 500 record overall, that is my point. To think that there is no hope for this program at all is loser mentality. And last time I checked, we kicked that loser mentality stuff out the door. Maybe I'm not sitting here telling you it's for sure. I'm not sitting here and telling you that you move on from Bobby Hurley and all of a sudden you have a contender. Maybe it takes 2 years. Maybe it takes 3 years. Maybe it takes 4 years. Look at Louisville. What is it? 3 years under their head coach there? And they sucked. They sucked. Now they don't suck anymore. Football under Kenny Dillingham sucked the first year record-wise, but we saw the building blocks and we saw the process, right? We saw the coaching. We saw all the things that we see lacking right now from this team in that team. I'm never going to stop making comparisons even though I don't want to. I don't think it's fair to compare other coaches to Kenny Dillingham, and I don't think it's fair that if ASU does decide to move on to the next head coach, I don't think it's fair to say Kenny Dillingham expectations for you. Who is the next Kenny Dillingham? Not fair. Not fair to the next football coach anywhere, right? Not fair. Look at what they did to Brent Brennan, right? Wasn't Brent Brennan supposed to be there, Kenny Dillingham? You have to get to a certain point where some of these problems get fixed and solved, and I absolutely, unequivocally, 100% believe they can be fixed and solved. Let me make that clear. I 100% believe that as a coach, Bobby Hurley has the ability to direct things the right way and to put this team in the right direction. I believe that that is possible, which is why it is unacceptable that it has not. That being said, that means if he does do that, even if it doesn't mean a tournament berth, if he can do that this season, we can have a different conversation. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you can do it. I'm going to root for it. I'm going to want it with my whole heart. And I'm going to watch every single game. But you got to prove it. Because this school is not a loser school. We can't have that mentality anymore. We can't be okay with 500. We can't be okay with 3-8 in the Big 12 at the bottom of the conference with 2 5-star freshmen in a transfer portal class that we were all raving about. Can't do that. And if Bobby can do that, keep him around. His name, his ability to draw recruits in, his players love him, and that is such an important aspect of coaching. But it ain't everything. It ain't everything. With that being said, if you're watching on TV, I want to remind you that the party always continues over at gophnx.com, not just with ASU, but also all of our other shows. We have U of A. We have Suns, which, by the way, Suns is crazy right now. I haven't checked Twitter. Can somebody tell me if Kevin Durant got traded? We also have Cardinals. They're out at Super Bowl week for Radio Row. Show them lots of love right now as well. Mercury, we have a lot of stuff going up with the Mercury. New super team getting formed in Phoenix, hopefully better than the current one they have, and so much more, all right here on PHNX Sports. We appreciate everybody who has been watching here and leaving a like. I know it's a sad game, but if you could leave a like, we would really appreciate it. And it is just about that time. Captain, do you know what time it is?
It's time to close up shop.
It is absolutely time to close it up. It's time for closing time, presented by the Carol Royce team, your home sold guaranteed realty, where Carol will guarantee to sell your home for 100% of the market value, or she will pay you the difference. Learn more at carolroyceteam.com. 3 simple words, 2 of them repeating for you here today. Our final thoughts. Bye, tourney. Well, it might not be impossible. Technically, sure as hell feels like it. But y'all make it a lot better. Best ASU community on the planet, bar none. Stamp it. Appreciate everybody who's in the chat. William, Cactus Johnny, Captain Redbeard is in the chat. Thanks to John as well. William, Megan, everybody who's hanging out. I think I said William twice. Not going to say it 3 times, even though I just did. Sean Jackson, thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys tuning into a double dip episode. If you missed earlier today, Ralph Amson and I went game by game throughout all of ASU football, entire schedule, predicted the entire season, and I was very rational. Extremely rational. You're definitely going to want to check that out. You're also going to want to subscribe to PHNX Sports. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you turn notifications on so you know whenever PHNX Sun Devils does go live. We'll be live tomorrow for a 1 p.m. show. After that, pretty decently long break, but we will be back on Sunday afternoon for another post-game show. If you're looking for some content in between that, tap in with me over on PHNX Suns. Trade deadline coming up. Lots going on. And of course, you can follow the show at PHNX_Sun Devils. Call Captain Behind the Mac at K Coop Sports. Bringing it back. You can follow myself at ERIKRUBY. And as you hear my voice go, it's the perfect time to say, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.